Shabbat Shalom. Welcome. It's so great to see everyone's smiling faces this week. Although we've been together in person in the past, now I see more smiling faces, and it's so wonderful. Since we're in our process of opening back up and re-entering the world, we're welcoming in guests for one of the first times we're together. So we're going to go back to our Temple Israel minhag, our Temple Israel custom of inviting any guests that are with us this week to stand up and introduce themselves, to say hi, so we can say Shabbat Shalom to you and welcome you to our community. Great, so in the back. Shabbat Shalom, welcome. Oh, wonderful. Mm-hmm. Great. Oh, wonderful. Shabbat Shalom, welcome. Any other guests that wish to introduce themselves? Okay, all right. Well, welcome to one and all. We'll bring Shabbat in for our community with the lighting of our candles, and I'll invite up Terry Siegel to light our candles as we are celebrating a birthday of hers that we unfortunately had to miss a few weeks ago. Happy birthday, Terry. And we're on page 2.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Kabbalat Shabbat is a time when we rejoice in the coming of rest. As we put a long week of work and growth behind us, we are happy and celebratory during this part of our service because we're celebrating the work of creation, of God's creation, and the beauty of the world around us. We're asked to join with the Holy One in celebrating this goodness of creation. And as we move through our prayer service this evening, I ask each one of us to pause and reflect. What goodness did I experience this week? What wondrous work of creation am I celebrating? We begin our service on page 12.
L'chu niranena, yai lai 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 lai, l'Adonai, yai lai 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 lai, l'Aria, yai lai 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 lai, l'Sur Yishaynu, yai lai 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 lai. Let us sing out to God, the maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation, from mountain to sea, hear our song. L'chu niranena, lai 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 lai, l'Adonai. Yai lai 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 lai, Naria. Yai lai 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 lai, L'tzur Yishaynu. Yai lai 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 lai. For all of the wonder in all of God's light, we rejoice. So now let us listen with all of our hearts to hear God's voice. L'chu niranena, yai lai 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 lai, l'Adonai, yai lai 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 lai, Naria, yai lai 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 lai, L'tzur Yishaynu, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai. Page 20. L'chadoti likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekavela. 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 Shamor כזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד, שמו אחד, ושמו תפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Verse 5, התעוררי, כי באור קומי אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך גילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Please rise and face the entrance to our spiritual home and to your home where you are watching. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובשמחה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Continue on page 26. יתגדל ויקדש שמי רבה, ועלמא יברח חירותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחייכם וביומכם ובחייתך בן ישראל. בגלה ובזמן קריב, ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעולם ועולמי יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם וינשיא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקדשה בריחו לילה מכל מחתה ושירתה, תשמחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בימה, ויאמרו אמן.
We remain standing for our call to worship on page 28.
La 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch hu et Adonai Hamavorach Baruch Adonai Hamavorach Hamavorach Le'olam va'id. Hamavorach Hamavorach Le'olam va'id.
On the top of page 31, we continue together. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and seasons glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars, creator of the tide of time and light. You guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Continue with the holiest 6 words we can say, the words of Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod, Malchuto, Leolam, Leolam Vayed. You may be seated. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And all these words which I command you on this day shall be in thy heart, shall be in thy heart. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt speak of them when thou sittest in thy house, when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be for frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them on the doorposts of thy house, and upon thy gates, and upon thy gates, that ye may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God.
This Friday in our country, we mark a new day. So we offer a new poem of peace, or of freedom. Freedom will not come today, this year, nor ever, through compromise and fear. I have as much right as any other fellow to stand on my own 2 feet, and own my own land. I tire so of hearing people say, let things take their course, tomorrow is another day. I do not need my freedom when I'm dead. I cannot live on tomorrow's bread. Freedom is a strong seed planted in a great need. I live here too. I want my freedom, just as you. A new poem for this moment by Langston Hughes, an old poet. Freedom may have come in a moment today maybe, or for our people in years past, the splitting of the seas, the signing of a document. But freedom takes a lifetime to truly understand, to fully appreciate. It takes many hands to build and sustain. We say the words of Mi Chamocha this week with added vigor. We go into the Shabbat with a renewed sense of freedom as we mark this new federal holiday of Juneteenth. We remember that this is one step, but all too soon we must take another step. The work of repairing our world is never finished. It will only be finished when freedom is brought to all. Miriam was one whose lips brought song and whose hands brought healing. She was one of many who danced and sang and tried to bring the gift of freedom to all in this world. We continue with Mi Chamocha.
The timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced the whole night long. And Miriam was a weaver of unique variety. The tapestry she wore was one which sang her history. With every strand and every thread she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she danced toward the light. When Miriam stood upon the shores and gazed across the sea, the wonder of this miracle she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass to freedom and march to the promised land. And Miriam the prophet took her timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice in song, she sang with praise and might. We've just lived through a miracle, we're gonna dance tonight. And the women dancing with the timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced the whole night long. We transition now into the prayer for loving peace, the Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu l'shalom v'hamidenu l'chaim ufros aleinu sukat shalomecha sukat shalomecha Ashamur tzataynu v'avaynu l'chaim u'l'shalom me'ata ve'ad olam ufros aleinu sukat shalomecha sukat shalomecha. Give us this night time to lie in peace. May we rise to new life each day. Let there be shelter for the brokenhearted, a shelter of peace for all. And guard our going, our coming home, filled with life and peace from now forever on. And let there be shelter for the brokenhearted, a shelter of love for all.
now reached our Amidah, our standing prayers to God and our personal words. We rise and begin on page 46.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'socher Chastei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei B'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah rav lahoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noklim berofech olim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Micha mocha ba'agaburot, Umido melach, Melech memit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol.
May be seated. Atah kadosh u'shimcha kadosh u'kadoshim b'chol yom yechalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el ha'kadosh. Together on the top of page 55, may these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. May this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadcha be'ira na'avod. We continue with Shalom Rav on page 60.
Shalom Rabbi Yisrael Amecha Ta'asim Le'olam. Shalom Rabbi Yisrael Amecha Ta'asim Le'olam. Grant us peace all over the earth. Grant us sim leolam. Please take a few moments for silent meditation.
We have the special honor this Shabbat to come together as community in words of prayer, but also in words of Torah, as we'll offer a Seder Kriyat HaTorah, a Torah service this evening, and read from our sacred scrolls. So we turn to page 246, and we rise as we take Torah from the Ark. This evening, we're reading from Parshat Chukat. The Shabbat, we're reading from Parshat Chukat. And this reading will be from the 20th chapter, and we're going to hear a little bit of the story of Miriam, the last bit of the story of Miriam, and I'll offer a translation after I'm done reading. And we'll call Cantor Kathy to do the Aliyah. Tamod l'Aliyah HaTorah.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol hamim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vayavohu b'nei Yisrael kol ha'eda midbar tzin b'chodesh harishon vayeshev ha'am bekadesh v'tamot sham Miriam v'tikaver sham v'lo hayamayim la'eda vayikahalu al Moshe ve'al Aharon vayarev ha'am im Moshe vayomru le'mor ve'lu gevanu bigva achenu lifnei Adonai ve'lama hevetem et kahal Adonai el hamidbar hazeh lamut sham anachnu uvireinu ve'lama helitunu mimitzrayim lehavi otanu el hamakom harazeh lo mekom zera ut'ena ve'gafen ve'rimon u'mayim ayin lishtot. And Bnei Israel came, the whole community, to the wilderness of Tzin in the first month, and they dwelt there. The people dwelt in Kadesh, and there Miriam died, and there she was buried. And there was no water for the community. So the people assembled against Moses and against Aaron, and the people quarreled with Moses, and they spoke to him, saying, "If only we had died with our brothers before God. Why did you bring God's community to this wilderness only to die here, us and our cattle, our beasts? And why did you bring us from Egypt only to bring us to this horrible place? It is not a place of grain, of seed and fig, no pomegranates or grapes, and there is no water to drink."
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah tamet chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. We'll keep the Sefer Torah scroll in our midst this evening as we reflect on the journey that is healing. And we think about those who are in need of a prayer for healing this Shabbat. We'll offer names in the middle of our prayer, and we'll offer a Misha Berach Lecholim, a prayer of healing for the sick. The words can be found on page 253.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor habracha Raimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
If you have a name of a loved one you would like to share, of those names. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sandra Manis.
Fran and Reed Wasserstrom.
We hold their names in our hearts.
Sheberach imotenu mikor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say
The Shabbat will also offer the prayer for the state of Israel on page 259. This week, Israel swore in a new government, and we always keep the state of Israel, the modern state, in our thoughts and our prayers, but this week in particular, we want to wish them success and peace and most of all, great time. Together at the bottom of the page, O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. We say amen. So as we just read in Torah, this week Moses faces what I would argue to be his greatest challenge. The community wandering in the wilderness comes to yet another new region, and then there in this new place, Miriam dies, and Moses has the difficult task of burying his sister in a foreign land. And then in the very next sentence, Lo haya mayim, there was no water. The people of Israel face the threat of starvation and dehydration. The people are in crisis because of this. They feel immense anxiety, we can only assume. And because of such, the people begin to complain to Moses. They lose faith and they fight with each other. Rashi argues that these two events, the death of Miriam and the fact that the people had no water, are undeniably linked. Crisis causes more crisis unless the root of the problem is dealt with. If we know this about human nature, our next question must be, what is the root of this problem? What is the underlying issue that the people refuse to face, or maybe they cannot face? One could read this text as yet another example of Israel not living up to the high expectations which God has for them. God marched them out of Egypt 39-ish years ago. Bnei Yisrael should be grateful. They should show appreciation for what God has done for them. They lack faith, so they must go without water. That is one possible reading. Rashi's reading is that Miriam was in fact the well which brought the water to the people. Miriam provided for the community in ways which her brothers could not provide. She was the water. So the community is rather facing a crisis of leadership instead of a crisis of faith. Israel lacking water is a lesson to the community to help them understand what they need to find in the next person who is to lead them. They must make sure their future spokesperson speaks for their needs. This is another possible reading of the death of Miriam and the drying up of the well. This yearly cycle, this reading of Chukat, I'm finding the answer to this question at the end of our portion. Moses loses not just Miriam this week, but also loses his brother Aaron. Aaron has been by Moses' side since the early days of their journey. Aaron was the first high priest of the community. He took care of their spiritual needs, and he was in charge of the religious practice in the desert. Aaron also often heard the word of God. God often spoke to Aaron directly. Torah relays very few details about Aaron's death. We learn that he was buried on Mount Hor, that before he died, he gave all of his holy vestments to his son Eleazar, the next high priest. And we learn, Vayivchu et Aharon Shloshim Yom, Kol B'nai Yisrael. All of Israel mourned Aaron 30 days. Aaron died, and the people were able to process that death. Miriam died, and life moved on. Miriam died, and the people woke up to face the next day without their well, without the woman who brought them song. The people went and they assembled against Moses. They complained, not because they were in doubt of God or doubted their journey, but because they didn't know how to ask for what they needed. The people acted the way they did because they felt such great sorrow, and they had no outlet for that grief. There was no process when Miriam died. With Aaron's death, they were given the period of Shaloshim, the 30-day mourning period, which follows a death, the custom which we still follow to this day. So this week, may we learn from the people's mistakes. May we learn from them to ask for what we need. May we learn to ask for what we need from those around us, but also ask for what we need from our Jewish tradition. Let Judaism hold us when we need it to, and to guide our lives. Torah teaches us that self-care is important. It is essential to living and to growing as an Am Kadosh, a holy people. Shabbat Shalom. I'll invite Mike Siegel to join us on the bima, and we'll rise to return Torah to the Ark.
V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Yad elai lai lai, yad elai lai lai, yad elai lai 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 lai, yad elai lai lai, yad elai lai lai, yad elai lai 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 lai. Et chayim hi lemachzikim ba v'tomcha me'ushar deracheha darchei olam v'chol netivoteha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chodesh Chodesh Yameinu Chodesh Yameinu Kekedim. We continue with the Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tekedu l'yotzer b'reishit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, v'lo samanu kamishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'govra aleinu kechamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim. Lifnei melech v'chei hamla
seated. There are stars up above, so far away, we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with the people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. This Shabbat, our Temple Israel community is in the period of Shloshim, the 30 days of mourning for our Donald Edwards, Donald Kaufman, Richard Levin, Kathy Kodish. And we're remembering the yahrzeit, the anniversary of the passing of Katie Alpern Backer, Max A. Bernstein, Isidore H. Birnbaum, Maxwell Emmerman, Simon Epstein, Dr. Irving Feigenbaum, Henley K. Freeman, Charlotte Goldfarb, Anna Goldman, Louis S. Greenwald, Victor Gross, Rachel Kane, Ava R. Cass, Mildred Catan, Vega Krongold, Florence Lessing, Max Lowy, Hilda Love, Mary C. Marks, Ronald Meltzer, John R. Morris, Rosina Moss, Bessie Nevins, Jacob M. Noble, Rosa Rivkin, Leah Noble Sif, Abraham Jacob Smith, Irving Spector, Nathan Stein, Joseph Swade, Aaron H. Tarr, Eugene Triber, Marie Wachner, Israel Winnick, Katie Wolfend, Rosalind Wolfson, and Albert Spector. And if you have names that you would like to add to our list this week, please feel free to share those as my eyes pass yours. Diana? The words to Kadisha Tome to Mourner's Kaddish are on page 294, and our custom is that we rise and mourn together as a community. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'gala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mivarach Le'olam Omei Omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal Shemei Dekudesha Brichu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all who mourn, to all Israel. And together we say, amen. We've connected with the memories of those who we've loved and lost, and now we connect with each other and offer the priestly benediction. May God bless you and keep you. May God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you. May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find peace. be seated. I'll invite Terry Siegel to come back up with her husband Mike. Can join us on the bima for Kiddush and Motzi.
The heaven and the earth were finished in all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing. And God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodesho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lamasi v'reishit, ki hu yom hatechila l'mikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat mitzrayim, ki banu v'charta v'yotanu kidashta mikonim b'shabbat kodecha be'ahava uvratzon imchatanu baruch atah Adonai mekadosh hashavat amin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Stay right there for a moment, please. Before we dismiss you for your big birthday, there's a birthday that we're going to celebrate tomorrow for Ashley. So we're all going to sing happy birthday to Terry and to Ashley. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Yom Haledet Sameach. Yom Haledet Sameach. Thank you, Eli.
I assume my mother let the secret out, or Facebook, one of
Yep,
the
it's all
two.
her fault.
I'll invite Elaine Newman, one of our co-presidents, to the bima to share a few congregational announcements.
I have to raise the mic. Shabbat Shalom. On behalf of myself and Andrew Merriman, we welcome all of you here tonight. And I'm going off script. I'm probably going to get fired from Kylie. But I want to thank Tanner Kathy, Ashley, Eli for a wonderful service. I want to thank Kylie for making sure that everybody out there in television land can see us. And it's a job that I don't think anybody understands what goes into, so thank you. Thank you to Terry and Mike for blessing the candles and the Kiddush and lifting the Torah, because I cannot lift the Torah. And most of all, I'd like to thank Jeff Klein, because now we can see your beautiful faces. So thank you, Jeff Klein, and your committee and the board for coming to that resolution. It's wonderful to see you all. It was really nice to even hug a few of you. So Shabbat Shalom. A few announcements. This is not, yes, right. We have an Intro to Judaism class this Tuesday. The course is free to the members of Temple and $250 for non-members. Anyone interested, call the Temple office. Join Ashley Barrett tomorrow on Facebook Live at 7 p.m. for Havdalah. Our procrastinator small group is meeting this Thursday, June 17th. Please let Joyce Butler, and I think she's here tonight, yeah, in the corner. It was yesterday, okay. That's not my fault, that's the Anyhow, if you're interested in the procrastinator group, call Joyce. Who wrote that? Join the members of Temple Israel's Keshet group for a baseball game at Canal Park to support the Akron Pride Festival and our LGBTQA community. This game is on Tuesday, this has got to be right, June 29th, and tickets should be purchased to the Rubber Ducks, through the Rubber Ducks. Shabbat Shalom.
Also, if you're interested in diving into the Torah portion a little bit more, join us on Zoom tomorrow morning for Torah study at 9. We'll conclude this evening with Adama v'Shamayim as we're thinking about Miriam and water and all that we take and need from the land. We join in singing about the goodness of our earth.
And there's a participatory section, and the words are, hey, ya, and I think you can do it. Here we go. Adama v'shamayim, chom ha'esh, tzlil ha'mayim, ani margish zot begufi, veruchi v'nishmati. Here's your part. Hey ya, 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 ho. Hey ya, 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 ho. Hey ya, 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 ho. Mother Earth, Father Sky, heat of fire, drop of water. I can feel it in my body, in my spirit and in my soul. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey, come on Fred. Hey ya, ho. Hey ya, 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 ho. Hey ya, 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 ho. One more time. Hey ya, 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 ho. Hey ya, 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 ho. Hey ya, 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 ho. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.